Yo, what's up, y'all? This is Jéan P the MC.
I'm Zach Worthy.
I'm Jeremy Elmore.
And this is a very special episode of the Say What You Mean podcast. We interviewed the mayor, Mr. Bill Sherer. And we're doing this video kind of as a way of saying thank you. A disclaimer, this is a really fun episode, an informative episode. These guys have been a part of this show for almost what?
Probably a little over 2 years now.
2 years?
Coming up.
Almost 100 episodes, 2 years.
Yeah, man. So these guys, man, we've been putting in work. We always joked about having the mayor on this show, and we finally had the chance to have him. So tune into this episode. Spread the podcast around. Please subscribe to us. Follow Zach on his social media, Jeremy, myself. We thank y'all for just watching us, man. Shout out to Dakota, Chase, man, for the work that they put in just for y'all could watch us on YouTube, man. Zach has a Dr. Seuss quote for the mayor.
I had one. Yeah.
You had one?
Yeah, I had one. We pulled it off.
Jeremy came with the drip on.
Shout out my jeweler.
And that earring is fire, man.
His jeweler, Amazon.com.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all, man. Tune in for the special episode with the mayor, man. Episode 172. Peace.
Peace.
This your first podcast?
Yeah. First time for everything.
You been on other podcasts.
No, I'm honest to goodness, my first podcast.
Really?
I've had plenty of invites, but it took hiring a communications director to really get one lined up. Yeah.
So you ever thought about starting your own podcast?
I'm going to lean on her.
Oh, Christian?
I'm going to defer.
She's been on the show. We told her she has the radio voice, so.
Yeah.
And we already see she's already keeping him like kind of in line.
I know.
No, she does keep me in check. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, because I had to make sure I had the right questions for you and all that.
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to do this. Having someone of your stature on the show is big for us.
You know what? I wouldn't even think about stature. Look, I'm just a kid that grew up in this town. I'm no different than anybody in this room.
That's what I've always respected about you, because when I first met you, I saw you at Nemisilla Park.
Yeah.
And when I seen you there, I was like, man, I never met a politician, let alone the mayor, but to see you at Nemo, that was really cool.
My big, and we're going to talk about this, I'm going to be huge on neighborhoods, huge on residents and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be the feds, it's not going to be the state. Who's going to take care of us? We are.
Yeah.
So, and we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, man, I love that. I love to see people really care about the city, because Canton is dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Obviously dear to everyone else, but to be an artist from the city and then see someone actually care about it, it really means a lot. So to see like these visions and ideas that you have for the city, it's really great.
No, it's pretty cool. I mean, when I decided it was a big deal, a lot of people came up to me and wanted me to run for this, and I had to make sure my wife was good with it, make sure she doesn't get a divorce attorney. But no, it's just everything that I campaigned on is in place right now. And it's going to take a little bit of time. I mean, the focus for a long time has been like the Hall of Fame Village. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to see them be successful, but they are going to have to make it on their own.
Yeah.
But there has to be a return benefit coming back that's going to benefit the residents of the city, and that just has not been the case. And we're going a completely different direction.
That's been something I've even wondered about, because when you see it so many years, you wonder like what's next with it. It's been a lot of questions. People ask us about it, like what's going on with the Hall of Fame Village and things like that. It's just we really don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm confident somebody's going to buy it and finish it. Mm-hmm. But it's unfortunate somebody's probably going to buy it for pennies on the dollar. Mm-hmm. And the shareholders are probably going to lose because of that, because they're going to they need to go public, or they need to be private.
Yeah.
Instead of a public traded company.
What are you looking forward to? Will you gotten the pool?
What's that?
Would you have gotten into the pool?
You know what? I don't have a problem with that. My biggest gripe is could any kids that live in the city of Canton afford to go there? Right.
I respect that.
I mean, is it affordable? I mean, look, tourism is a big thing, and maybe we might be a tourist destination someday, but we want to make sure there's stuff for our kids.
100%.
I mean, can we afford to lose another community center in this town? No, we can't. I mean, when I grew up, you had the Jewish Center, you had the Northeast Community Center, and we're fortunate, and I'm not saying I don't count the Y, but when you really break it down, we really only got 2 community centers left in this city, and that's the J. Babe Sturge Center, the Boys Club, and the Southeast.
Yeah.
And we just need to protect the assets that we have.
And those community centers, being born and raised here, they mean so much to the people that go to them, and they're just a part of the city. You know, the Southeast Community Center, my dad was playing basketball there.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going there and just feeling a part of the community. I love to see that it's still there. Do you see more community centers being built in the city of Canton?
I would like to see that. We have a great relationship and collaboration with Kansas City Schools. They just added on the Crenshaw over there, and they got the new athletic center
Nice.
at the old Timken campus and stuff like that. There could be a possibility. But it's just right now, there's so many priorities that need to be addressed in the city of Canton. It's just which one do you tackle first?
Yeah.
Do you tackle homelessness, food deserts? How many neighborhoods don't even have a pharmacy? Quality of life issues. It's easy to provide those basic services like clean water, making sure everybody gets their trash picked up once a week and stuff like that, and make sure the streets are plowed in the wintertime. And there's a lot of challenges, and it's going to take just more than us. When you talk about public-private partnerships, it's just that way. It's just not all on the city of Canton to be able to work with developers and stuff like that. So,
Well, let me ask you a fun question about being the mayor.
all right.
Are there any perks being the mayor? Like, you get like free parking in some places?
You know what? They asked me if I wanted a car, and I told them I don't need Channel 19 or Fox following me around town. I said I'm good. I'll drive my own car.
You ain't want them seeing you in the Ferrari?
You know what? I'll tell you this. My old job, I graduated from McKinley in '88, and I got into the ironworkers apprenticeship. And when you think about it, not every kid's going to go to college or go in the military. And there's still a lot of great opportunities. And, my father and my grandfather that I never met were involved in the Ironworkers Union, actually a block up the street behind St. John's.
Mm-hmm.
And, don't get me wrong. As far as the perks, this is probably the most demanding job that I've ever had in my life. And I have no regrets at all. It's just, but I know that I can't do this by myself. When you think about the population of the city of Canton, 70,000 people, and when I ran, it was a big deal for a lot of people, for me, because I'm not saying that I ran against the establishment, but in a sense I did. The amount of people that were coming after me, he's not qualified because he didn't go to college and he didn't do this.
Right.
Every kid in this town should get the same shot that I got, that they could even make a difference in the community that they grew up in. And but I know that I can't do this by myself. Even the previous mayor, me and Tom Burnaby didn't agree on everything. Tom did some good stuff for the city. Absolutely he did. But one of the smartest moves I could do day one is I decided to keep everybody, because Tom, even though me and Tom didn't agree on everything, Tom did surround himself with a very talented team.
Right.
But one thing, with hiring Christian Turner to be the communications director, we haven't had a communications director for 15 to 20 years.
Man.
We can do all the positive things in the world in this city, but if you can't communicate, it doesn't matter. It's no different than me being on my first podcast when you really break it down, And
First podcast. That's crazy. I didn't,
look, I'm a virgin, man.
Yeah,
What the hell? What the hell?
He said it. We took his podcast virginity.
That
He
shit.
said it.
Look, I'm honored to be here with you guys.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it for sure.
Y'all have any questions for him before we go on the break?
Yeah, so real quick, can you tell us what your first job, we got the Ironworkers Union. So how do you go from Ironworkers Union to people being like, you should run for mayor? What does that kind of look like?
I would like to think that that's a very good question. When, with the Ironworkers Union, when you think about the construction trades and the building trades would be like the electricians, the carpenters,
Right.
ironworkers, plumbers, and pipe fitters, all those unions have apprenticeship programs.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was funny because my grandfather was the head of the Ironworkers Union for 27 years to the day he died in 1968. And I wasn't born in 1969, so I never had the pleasure of meeting. And, I heard stories from my father that, it was clearly a different time. So when I graduated from McKinley in '88, I was a typical 18-year-old kid. I was hanging around all the wrong people, doing all the wrong stuff. And I'm grateful that my father, said, look, you're going to come down. This is the way it's going to be. And he made me work for everything that I have. And my father was the head of the union for 27, 28 years. And I worked my way, up through the ranks and stuff like that. And, when I got my dad's job, being the head of the Ironworkers Union or any union, you have to be elected by the membership.
Right.
And this is no different. And one thing that my father instilled in me was, you work for the men and women that you represent. They do not work for you. So why would this be any different? And I would like to think everything that I experienced has prepared me for where I'm at right now. Been negotiating contracts for over 30 years, you know, and obviously negotiating with the city's unions a little bit different animal, you know, because it's more of a shop environment. You're talking about, you know, Canton PD can't fire the public employees unions,
Yeah.
FOP and stuff like that. But I think everything that I've experienced, you know, in my previous job. Now, my first job, I was a cook at the old Park Hotel at Belden Village, where the old Dick's used to be.
Okay.
In Target.
You was cooking?
Yeah,
What was you
they
making?
wanted me to go to chef school. I don't know why I never did that.
What was your specialty?
You know what? They just had a restaurant there and stuff like that. And man, I mean, look, I was a 17-year-old kid in high school. You had to work at night and work the next morning. They gave you a room. I had a key to the beer cooler. I had it made.
Oh, so you was in a beer cooler is what you're
Yeah.
Like
Throwing
you said,
some parties in the
different time
rooms
back
back in the day. You know? So
Jeremy, got a question for the mayor?
If you weren't the mayor right now, what do you think you'd be doing? Like, if you never got into politics,
He'd
what
be
do
in
you
the
think?
beer spot. No, I'm just playing.
well, I mean, that's a good question because, you know, I was a council president for 6.5 years prior to running for mayor. So with council, and really all I did was run the council meetings. The only time the council president would vote would be in the case of a tie, and there was one time it was going to be close, but it just never happened. So if I wasn't here, I probably would still be the council president, and probably still be at my old job, to be honest with you. But no, it's truly an honor to, you know, be able to try to make this city better and, you know, to serve the residents of the city.
We appreciate you for making the effort. You know, I love to see people who are trying for us because we need it, you know, and it's to see you in the community and with Christian, you know, and doing all these great things, man. I think it's an honor to have you on the couch with us here. So
I appreciate that.
yeah, man. So really quick, before we go on the break, how can they reach out and get in contact with the mayor at the city for that matter?
You know, we have our website for the city. You know, they can contact my office anytime, and I'm not that hard to get a hold of. I mean, usually you have 9 wards in the city and you have 9 council people that represent those 9 wards, and then you got 3 at large. Even though a resident should be calling their councilman, I mean, look, I'll say this, we got some really good councilmen in the city, and we got some councilmen that probably need to step up their game. And, but I probably field as many phone calls and emails as they do, you know, because when residents really don't, if they have an issue. Now, to give you an example, that say somebody's living at SMHA and they got a problem and they don't, you know, SMHA doesn't address a problem. Well, obviously, who are they going to call? They're going to call the city and just stuff like that. So, no, we're very accessible. You know, we're trying to, we're step up our game with the communicating aspect, you know, and, you know, Christian's been taking the lead on that. You know, we came up with I'm sure she talked about the text messaging.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many ways that we can communicate better. So, but you also have to be able to respond to the concerns that the residents have.
Basically, what the mayor is saying is he's outside, y'all. He ain't hard to find. You can get in touch with him.
You drive around downtown, you might be seeing me picking.
Listen, when I saw you, wait, where's your social media, Zach?
You put me on the spot. Normally someone goes for I wasn't ready. Instagram and Twitter at zworthy68 or Facebook Zachworthy.
Jeremy?
You can find me on Facebook at Jeremy Andrew or on Instagram at _ninja_1.
All right, everything for me, Jéan P the MC, youtube.com/Jéan P the MC, Instagram, TikTok, and make sure you follow our podcast on Instagram, SWYM Podcast. I'm looking at the wrong camera. Podcast on Instagram. And real quick before we go on break, you know, you pulled up on me one day and I was a little starstruck because I was working. I didn't think you ever knew who I was, but you were in the car and you said, "Hey." And I was like, "Hey," and you said Christian was on the show. And I was like, when you left, I was like, "Oh man, that was the mayor. I never thought I would talk to the mayor." So yeah, now you're on my podcast.
No, it's an honor to be here.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
No, not a problem.
Of course, man. We'll see y'all in a minute. Jéan P the MC, episode 172. Say what you mean. We'll be back. Peace.
Say what you mean what you say.
Episode 172 of the Say What You Mean podcast. Jéan P the MC. We have the mayor, Mr. Bill Sherer in the house. Gotta shake your hand, man. It's good to have you on the show.
My pleasure.
Thank you, man. This is a really good time. We always excited. You see Jeremy dressed up, got all spiffy for you. You know,
You didn't need to do that. I didn't even own a suit till I got this job.
really?
Well, I mean,
I imagine the mayor having like a closet full. You know, in the movies, the mayors have like a closet full of suits.
Different color shirts for different color pants.
Yeah,
Did you ever meet Jimmy Babcock? He's a councilman.
I did not.
Yeah, Jimmy's been down there for a long time. I always joke with him. You got suits. He's got suits older than me. Just kind of jack him a little bit.
That's pretty cool. So, yeah, man, you know what it is. Episode 172, Say What You Mean podcast. You know, we got to pay some bills first. So, our sponsors, the Hub Art Factory being the first sponsor. Shout out to Tim Carmody. What do you think of the space?
Cool.
You like it?
I like it a lot. It's cool.
First time in here, right?
Yeah. First time I've been here.
Yeah, man. So this is the Hub Art Factory, man. A great space. Thank you, Tim Carmody, for being the sponsor. George Financial Services. George Financial Services is a father and son team with 35 years of combined experience. They are dedicated to helping everyday people. They have 30 million assets under advisement and are growing. If you'd like to talk with them to learn more, search and Google George Financial Services and book a complimentary call. Our next sponsor is RTP Sports, the realest sporties betting group in Ohio. If the game's on, we're betting. Welcome to RTP Sports, the #1 sports betting group chat in Ohio, where real players link up, drop heat, and run the bag together. This ain't no guessing game. We do our homework, we strategize, take betting things seriously. So if you're trying to bet smart and win big, reach out to RTP Sports on Instagram. So we thank you guys for sponsoring our show. And Mr. Sherer, let's start from the top, man. Where you from? What side of Canton you represent?
Now, you can call me Bill. I'm good with that.
I can call you Bill?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
I can't give you like a rap name. You know,
I'm
you gotta
still
give
trying
you
to get
some-
adjusted to people calling me mayor.
All right. So, Bill, where you represent, man? Where you from? What side of Canton?
Just born and raised. Grew up in the Northwest End.
Okay.
Went to Old Clarendon Elementary and went to Lehman Junior High.
All right, so I went to Lane.
Graduated from McKinley in '88, and just could have left this town a long time ago, but I'm proud to say that I didn't.
What was it like growing up for you in the city of Canton?
It was good. You know what? It was impactful for me because I look at the stuff that was available when I was growing up, like playing Mighty Might baseball and having programs, to try to, keep me occupied. And not so much keep me out of trouble, but just, I could probably say that too. But no, it was a very, very good time to grow up in the city of Canton back in the day.
Nice. So you graduated in '88, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what music were you? I'm a music guy. What kind of music were you listening to?
In the middle high school, I had probably hair down the middle of my back. And I was, going to a lot of concerts back in the day. And
What concerts were you going to?
I just, I listen to everything. I can listen to Metallica. I can listen to rap. I can listen to, I might be closet country a little bit, but just stuff like that.
We should have asked Christian, what are you playing in the office? Are you playing music in the office?
No, they do.
They do? Yeah, Christian confessed that she's a Lotto fan on the last episode. She likes her Lotto and, she's down market bumping the music loud.
Yeah, I'm too busy responding to probably 500 emails a day.
So with you being the mayor, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, Canton kind of has like a deep history, like with the industry all the way to football. Like, what issues and like are you tackling like for the city's future?
Right now, I mean, we got a lot of irons in the fire right now. I mean, the biggest thing we're trying to tackle is trying to improve our neighborhoods right now. We have identified the city just doesn't have the money or the resources to go after every neighborhood, and I can even expand that. If we want to replace everybody's sidewalk in the city of Canton, you're talking $40 to $50 million. That's not even feasible to do that. But it doesn't mean that we can't expand the programs that are available. I also got to be realistic that 47% of the houses in the city of Canton are owned by landlords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all the programs that we previously had were all geared towards homeowners. So one thing that I campaigned on was, we truly need to do this one block at a time, but are we just going to do half the block because, half the houses in the city of Canton are owned by landlords? And don't get me wrong, we got some really good landlords and we got some really, really bad ones. When you think about code enforcement, the responsibility of code enforcement is to protect the residents from the bad landlord.
Right.
And the health department. I'm sure everybody's seen in the paper about the rat house, with all the, nobody deserves to live like that.
Right.
And all of us need to step up our game because the residents of the city are really counting on us. So what we did was we developed a plan and we identified 16 neighborhoods throughout the city, and it doesn't mean that list can't grow. And you want to be fair to all 4 quadrants of the city, northeast, southeast, northwest. And if the city only had money to do a couple neighborhoods per year, what neighborhoods would they be? Well, the consensus was the 2 neighborhoods that we're going to concentrate on are going to be Sherer Road, southeast,
Yes,
and Vassar Park.
Yeah.
You know, where the Canton is, 15th Street between Cleveland and Market. When you think about Ridgewood's a really, really nice neighborhood in the city of Canton, but if Vassar Park tips in the wrong direction, is that going to affect
Exactly.
Ridgewood? Absolutely it will. So we're going to go in there and we're going to try to do as much as we can. I mean, we're going to try to pour as many sidewalks. We're going to pave you think, when we talk about, not to get off base, but we always get compared to Plain in North Canton when it comes to plowing, you know, the amount of roads and stuff.
Yeah.
There's no comparison. I mean, Plain's got 200 miles of roads. We have about 1,100 in the city of Canton. So how many alleys are in the city of Canton? Miles, right?
A lot of alleys.
Our plan is, and it's doable, but we're going to pave every alley in the city in the first 4 years. How many people live on an alley and they've been forgotten about? You know, I mean, but we're also going to step up our paving program in our neighborhoods, and that's not getting into all the other infrastructure projects that we got going on and stuff. We're also going to make a huge push for building housing in the city. You know, everybody talks about that, like that big Intel job down in Columbus and all the jobs it would bring. If Intel would build here, that we would have a major problem, because where's everybody going to live at?
Right.
And we need housing, and it's looking at everything. I mean, we have a huge homeless population in the city of Canton, you know, but if you're going to have housing for homeless, you have to have wraparound services that deal with mental health and addiction issues. You know, what about low income, moderate income workforce? And it's a major challenge. I mean, somebody could be paying rent, you know, for an apartment, paying them $1,100 a month when they could have a mortgage payment. So, you know, we're looking to expand, you know, a lot of the programs that we have available.
So how does your background as an ironworker shape your approach to being the mayor?
I'm more hands-on.
Yeah.
I never had a problem rolling up my sleeves and getting my hands dirty. And where I come from, I want it done, and I want it done yesterday. Well, that's just, when you talk about government, it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
You know, they're talking that we got a huge project on West Tuss that's supposed to start next year with the roundabouts in front of Altman Hospital. There's been a lot of talk about that. That project right there is 8 years in the making, securing the funding from the state and federal level and stuff like that. I mean, these projects just take, you know, and that's why it was so important. Immediately when I got in there, you know, we set up a committee and had some meetings, you know, regarding what's going to be the plan for the neighborhood, because this stuff can't wait 8 to 10 years down the line. You know, I mean, it just, we got one chance to get this right.
Right.
I would see the city do like little projects around town and make minimal impact. You know, we need to go in there when we go into Vassar Park and Sherer Road. We need to go in there and do as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And then we're going to move on to the next neighborhood.
So what steps, like in your administration, are you taking to create like more jobs and strengthen the local economy here in the city?
You know, we're working with a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of ways the city can help without cutting a check like
Right.
they did to the village. And a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with right now is kind of like the hand I'm dealt with. I'm just trying to make sure that the city does get their money back with the Hercules project down on South Market and
Yes,
the
sir.
Hall of Fame. But there's a lot of things we can do. We can help by creating jobs. One of the challenges that we face in the city of Canton's kind of landlocked. But we have one thing that nobody else has around us. We have water. Now, I'm not saying we got water forever, but whoever found the largest underground water aquifer 18 miles south of here in Sugar Creek Township, and we pump that, and we own the land, and we own that water aquifer. You know, you cannot have economic development without water and power.
Right.
You know, it's very unfortunate that when I was growing up in this town, we were always known for the steel mills, the industrial base and stuff like that. But also, you know, there's some good things that are happening. I mean, Hilscher Clark is one of the largest electrical contractors probably in the state of Ohio, and they're based in downtown Canton over on McKinley, about a block away. They want to keep their headquarters downtown, and these are high-paying jobs. You know, they're engineers and everything else. But it's also, you know, being able to, we're going to take an aggressive position on annexation. because we need the land to grow. I'll give you an example so the Fisher Foods closed down. So you got one on Whipple and Tusk, and that one that's on Whipple and Tusk, catty corner from the old Canton Center Mall, that is actually Perry Township. You got
It's literally like a street, like the border.
literally. So Whipple Avenue would be the boundary line between the city of Canton and Perry Township. You know, and when you talk about jobs, now, even though they're going to tear it down, they're going to build a Chick-fil-A there, right? You know, we're taking the position that if you want our water, you're going to annex in, or you can dig a well. I mean, we're literally taking, and I'm not saying Chick-fil-A jobs are the answer or nothing like that. We need to have opportunities when we talk about our kids. We need to have opportunities for them while they're in school. But if we don't have opportunities for them when they're done, why would they want to stay here? And we need, economic development has to be at the forefront, along with a lot of other things.
Public safety has always been like a big concern in the city.
Yeah.
What initiatives are in place to ensure Canton remains a safe place for residences and businesses?
Well, we just negotiated Canton PD's contract. Canton PD got the best contract, and they probably financially they probably had in 30 years. Now, this contract is not going to bankrupt the city, but the challenges that we face today, being a cop in today's environment's not a popular thing. It's not.
Understand.
20 years ago, if we had 195 officers on the force and you took the brass out, the FOP would be like sergeants, captains, lieutenants, chief. 20 years ago, if we had 195 officers on the force and you took the brass out, that was about 155 on the street. Right now, we're mid-90s on the street, the lowest that we have ever been. So these guys are working crazy overtime, and I'm not saying that we don't pay them enough. Our safety forces should reflect what our community looks like.
Right.
That's number one. But number two, that we're competing against everybody else. You want to be a cop in Canton, you got to want to come here. You want less drama and make more money, you can go to Louisville and write parking tickets to the soccer moms. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, it's real.
But we're also competing against the county sheriff, the deputy sheriffs for the county. We're competing against the state highway patrol. They're 300 to 400 short statewide. I think the county sheriff, I think they're 30 to 40 short. We're probably 30 short right now. I think this contract it's not going to solve the problem, but it's going to get us in the conversation about being competitive if they want to come to work for the city and be in law enforcement. And all of our safety forces, including fire, do a fantastic job. They do. But right now, the budget for fire is 154 guys at $20 million for the city. All right. We are at 154 guys. The budget for Canton PD is about 21 to 22 million for 170 officers. And we're probably in 141. So, when you talk about those recruiting issues and stuff like that, and I'll say this, my first year was very challenging, very interesting. The city of Canton had to fire Canton 2 PD officers last year within 3 months apart. And I'm just not, where I come from, when I worked for the ironworkers and when I worked out in the field back in the day, if you had 100 guys on a job and you had to have one guy on a job that's bringing the whole job down, they would just get rid of him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If the guy was coming in under the influence, he was stealing, he was doing this or whatever. It just, some of the things that, I've had to experience personally, I'll say this. I know what I signed up for, but I didn't sign up for that.
Right.
And I'll just, and I mean that when I say that. And it's just, if somebody doesn't want to be on the team, then we'll find somebody that does. But I really believe that it was important to get that contract negotiated to be competitive, to try to get our numbers up, especially with law enforcement and Canton PD.
So, for those who aren't familiar with local government, what's something people don't realize about being a mayor?
What does somebody realize about? Now, say that one more time.
What is something that people don't realize about your job? People may have one thing about it, but what's something that people may not know about being a mayor?
Well, if I wanted to say this, if I wanted an easy job, I would have run for county commissioner.
That's real.
No, I'm serious. It's the busiest job I've ever had in my life. It's just, it is nonstop. I'll say this. I got 3 girls, and all my kids are grown. So my oldest daughter's 34, and I got twin girls that are 25. If my kids were little, I would probably never even consider doing this. It is that time consuming. And I mean, right now it's a good time in my life that, my kids are all grown, got a couple grandkids and stuff like that. But it's just, you're trying every day that I go into that office is how can we make things better? I mean, people ask me, what do I do on my downtime? I just drive around the neighborhoods looking for stuff to do. No, I'm serious.
So you're working even when you're not working?
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, it's just, every neighborhood should get the respect it deserves. And it doesn't matter what part. And somebody said, well, you live in the Northwest End. Well, look, we got a lot of good people in this town.
We do.
And they deserve, when they have an issue, to have that issue, addressed and stuff like that. And, even when you think about when Christian was on here, she talked about C-Click Fix and stuff like that. C-Click Fix is our way of our checks and balances to make sure that every department in the city is doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if somebody reports a pothole on C-Click Fix, we rely on that data when you talk about communicating. So our guys are just not driving around town filling potholes, wasting tax dollars,
right,
looking for potholes, that these issues can be addressed as quickly as possible.
Okay. You got any questions, Zach?
Yeah, so it's kind of the same thing, but I guess outside of being the mayor, what is something you'd want the people of Canton to know about Bill Sherer, the person, the man?
No, I think we talked about this at the beginning. I'm just a kid that grew up in this town. I've been going up to McKinley High School, not a lot, but I mean, whenever they ask me to come up and talk to the kids, and when I sit down and talk to those kids, I try to make them realize that I sat in the same seat that they were sitting in. And back in the day, I probably spent more time trying to get out of school than I did applying myself. And with older you get, you always look back and you wish you would have done this a little bit differently and stuff like that. But what was really cool, Jeff Talbert, the superintendent.
Shout out to Mr. Talbert. He took my CD player in high school.
Nothing but love and respect for him. I mean, Jeff,
he took my CD player in high school.
Did he really?
I need it back.
I'll put.
You see that, Mr. Talbot? Come on now. Come on.
Yeah, but Jeff's doing a great job with Canton.
Shout out Mr. Talbot.
And he had asked me to do give the convocation speech last year. I didn't even know what the heck the convocation speech was. And so, we get up there and I had my speech all written up. And what it is, you got every employee for Canton City Schools. And, you're trying to motivate the troops and all that stuff. I'm not saying school's getting ready to start. And, I got up there and I said, it took me an hour to write this damn speech and we're going to go off the cuff. And I mean, it literally is just pouring out, And it's just, I mean it when I say this. When you talk about having opportunities for our kids.
Yeah.
Every kid in this town, and I know I just stated that, it should get the same. There's no reason why they couldn't be where I'm at right now. That they can make a difference. And maybe it might not even be in that capacity. Maybe somebody runs for council. We got a ton of boards and committees within the city that are very important. You think about the health department board. You think about the rat house that was all over the newspaper and stuff like that. Yeah. That board governs the health department. How important is that board? How important is the park board? With our Canton parks, having recreational programs available for everybody. So, no, it's truly an honor for me to be where I'm at right now.
How important is technology and social media, especially when it comes to connecting with the community?
Well, I'll just put it this way: 40 years ago, somebody woke up in the morning, they had a newspaper and a cup of coffee in their hand. Now they got their phone in their hand.
TikTok.
No, I'm not a TikTok guy. My wife's a TikTok guy.
She don't got you on there dancing.
Yeah, and so she traded me in for TikTok. Yeah.
That's how she got the app back.
No, but social media is very important. I mean, it's just, I'm a firm believer in traditional media. I mean, I go down to Pam Cook and WHBC, and believe it or not, there's a certain population that still listens to Pam Cook in the morning.
True.
Mm-hmm. And there's a certain population that are going to listen to podcasts. But you have to be, it is very important because it's not going away anytime soon. So.
Like that. Well, here's what I want to do, Mr. Sherer. I want to take a break and do a section called P's Positive Point, where you say a quote that means something to you. Zach, he finds a Dr. Seuss quote that means something to him. I'll find a quote, and then we can get out of here. Is that okay?
Good.
All right, man. This is Jéan P the MC, episode 172. Mr. Sherer, Bill Sherer. Say what you mean. Peace. Episode 172 of the Say What You Mean podcast. We have the mayor of Canton, Mr. Bill Sherer, on the couch with us today. First podcast, man. Gotta shake your hand. Thank you for being on the show once again. I appreciate it. What you got planned for today?
We're going to run up to Akron, and they got a huge rally up there. I've been a guy from labor. It's unique for me because I've been a guy from labor my entire career. And when we talk about like negotiating with the unions, now I'm sitting on the other side of the table, which I'm management now. And when we talk about just the environment that's going on a national level in this country, the rally up there is for the postal workers, because the administration is talking about privatizing the post office.
Boo!
Yeah, that's all bad.
Boo!
It ain't about hooking your billionaire buddies up so they can make more money. What about the average workers? And these are good union jobs with benefits.
I know I liked you.
Yeah,
man, you my man.
You secured one postal vote for when you rerun it.
Man. I'm gonna be the first in line. Represent. Thank you for going to something like that, Phil. I really appreciate that.
No, that's not a problem.
There's a lot going on. They ask me stuff, and as a mail carrier, I don't even really know everything, but I know that's not what we want to do.
Yeah. No, that's going all the wrong direction. There's no doubt about that. Instead of sitting down and having a constructive conversation about how we can fix things, I could even take a step even further, even though we talked about the negotiations for the city. So like the police and the firemen's retirement plan down in Columbus, the state plan is going down the tubes. So when I get in there, when I was with the ironworkers, I was the chairman of our pension, of both retirement plans and our health and welfare plan. Our pension plan at the time was valued at probably close to $200 million. And it was solvent, so I know that I'm going to be able to retire. But what also concerned me was, what about that 18-year-old kid that we take in? What is he going to have 40 years later? Because I used to be that 18-year-old kid that I just looked at what I had in the palm of my hand. Yeah. And didn't realize what I was going to need 30, 40 years later. And talking about the police and fire's pension plan, so it's going down the tubes. And when I first get in there, I started asking a lot of questions. I said, well, who's speaking on behalf of the city down in Columbus? Or do we just cut a check every month? No, well, basically, we just cut a check every month. And it's just, instead of them sitting down and having a constructive conversation, and it's no different than talking about the postal carriers or even that, they're talking about bailing the plan out, their pension plan out, on the backs of every city and township and municipality in the state. So that means that hit right there by just charging the cities more to pay for that retirement plan is probably going to cost us anywhere from $800,000 to $1.2 million. So that's 8 to 10 cops that we could probably have on the street.
Yep.
And it's just a nonstop. Even we can take care of things on a local level for sure, but we need to make sure when people say that their vote doesn't matter, I disagree with that. I mean, even how I got here. But, you got to make sure that you have people down in Columbus and even on a national level fighting for us.
100%. It just feels like, who's fighting for us? That's how it feels at this point. But to see people doing it, it gives you hope.
Yeah, and I got a great working relationship with our Congresswoman, Amelia Sykes. She's doing a fantastic job.
Shout out to Ms. Sykes.
But there's a full-out assault to get rid of her.
Yeah. There's
they keep gerrymandering the lines, moving the lines and all that stuff. So it's tougher and tougher for people to get reelected. Mm-hmm. There's no way there's going to be, I'll say this, I've been a Democrat my whole life, and the Republicans have controlled Columbus and had a super majority down there for 20 years. Mm-hmm. There needs to be an even balance. There has to be.
A balance where we're not worried. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We're not worried about what's next. I think a lot of people in this country are
I'll give you an example. I mean, they're going to take, so the big thing was medical marijuana dispensaries, right? So they, it's legal, the voters decided we want it legal in the state of Ohio, right? So the first thing they do is start scaling it back. Then now they're going to take the tax revenue that we were counting on, and that was the whole premise of why I don't have a problem with it. It's, the voters decided it was going to be legal in the state of Ohio, and I have no issue with that at all.
Right.
But we have 5 dispensaries and possibly a 6th coming down the pike. And now, we were really counting, and we're just not us. Every city in the state of Ohio, we were counting on that tax revenue. And now the governor's going to take it away to possibly fund the Brown Stadium and other stuff like that. And it just, if we would have known that, would we have opened 5? No, maybe we might have only opened a couple. I don't know that. It just, but we do need people speaking on our behalf, that's for sure.
We appreciate you for speaking on our behalf for the city of Canton, man. We really do appreciate that.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Real quick, so like, what can people like us, regular everyday citizens do to contribute more to give back to the city?
Good question.
We got a lot of boards. We talked about those boards, all these different boards and committees. We're always looking for people to serve. A good friend of mine, Brandon Stokes, who was with the ironworkers, I just appointed him to the perk committee. There's a lot of stuff. There's always stuff that you can get involved in. I mean, there's a lot of great non-for-profits that do a lot of good things in the city of Canton. When you think about like dealing with, the amount of homeless, you got the Refuge of Hope, you have this, you have that. The biggest thing is just making sure that, voting is very, very important. And it's going to be very important when the midterms coming up.
Yes, sir.
And stuff like that. You got to, why do people have to be, how should I be blunt about this? Why do people have to be pissed off to come out to vote?
It's a good point.
That's a good point.
Seriously.
Great point.
I mean, until somebody takes something away from you, right, for it to be a problem, it should never get to that point.
That sounds like 2025 because now you see people like, we when we heard, I love to see people now that are like, we got to get out here. Some people felt like their voice didn't matter. But I think once they realized their voices are being taken away, now it's like, okay, now we got to really get out here and really show that we're a part of this,
And some people, and just, and be careful for what you wish for sometimes.
100%.
Yeah.
Preach. Yeah. Bars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Zach, man, you want to kick it off with your positive point? Or did you find your Dr. Seuss quote? Every episode he says a Dr. Seuss quote, Mr. Sherer.
I'm getting probably close to 100 of these, honestly. We're running out. We're running low. I may have used it before, but it would have been a long, long time ago.
What's your quote?
If I have used it.
What's your quote? Let's hear it.
Today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive that is youer than you.
Was that Dr. Seuss?
That was Dr. Seuss.
That was Dr. Seuss. Profound, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I went to Gibbs Elementary, right, and they wanted me to read to the 3rd graders, and they said, so the first book they picked out for me was I Want to Be the Mayor of Mudville.
Oh, really?
That was cool. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was cool. Yeah. So
what's that quote mean to you, Zach?
Oh, it's to be yourself. At the end of the day, no one else can control what you do. You're responsible for your own actions. Be yourself and, be whatever you want to be.
I like that. Jeremy, you got one for us?
Yeah, my quote is leadership is not about being the best. It's about making everyone else better.
What's that mean to you?
It just means true leadership's not about personal success or being the most skilled. It's about inspiring, supporting, and helping other people.
I like that. Mr. Sherer, you got a positive point for us?
The quote that I ran on was, we're going to keep moving Canton forward.
I like that.
But I can say this, when you talk about leadership, and I've had the privilege of my father ingraining stuff in me, that I will let everybody judge me by how I handle things and what we get done around this city. And it just, what the nickname for the state of Missouri is? It's a show me state. Don't tell me.
Show me.
Show me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
That's a good point. I like that. And my positive point is from Walt Whitman. He says, keep your face always toward the sunshine and shadows will fall behind you. I think lately, it's been a lot of darkness in like what we've been seeing, what we've been facing. And I'm a very optimistic person. So like I always feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because everything we've been kind of seeing has been negative in a way. So that's why I always say, like, look through the sunshine, keep your face towards the sunshine always, because all the bad things will come behind you. And I think there's something positive through all the things that are going on through.
Well, and we also need to be proactive. I mean,
right.
Remember when they had the guy that ran that truck through the crowd down at Mardi Gras?
Yes.
Right? Immediately, we set up a meeting after that because what happened in New Orleans could easily happen here.
on a
It
first
could,
Friday,
it could,
something like.
or it could be Hall of Fame. You know, somebody that asked me what keeps you up at night. What keeps me up at night as mayor? I said, how about a mass shooter during First Friday?
Man,
Or Hall
How,
of Fame
how
week,
about
yeah.
somebody taking a car, you know, barreling through, you know, the parade route and stuff like that during Hall of Fame? But we just need to be proactive about this stuff, you know, and just, you know, we don't need to wait till after something happens to try to rectify the problem.
I like that.
So,
All right. Any last shout outs before we get out of here?
Just shout out you guys, the pod. Shout out the mayor for coming on. What an honor it was to have you today.
Zach.
anytime you want me back,
You coming back on the show?
Yeah,
You want to come back? Christian, can he come back?
yeah.
He's a man.
Yeah, we heard that loud and clear.
Yeah. Zach, you got any shout outs, man, before we get out of here?
Oh, same old, you know, the pod, the hub for hosting us every week, you know, and you most of all, thank you for showing up and showing out for us. We really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys having me.
Bill, you got any shout outs?
Nah, you know what? I just want to get a shout out to everybody in this city. You know what I mean? It just we got a lot of good stuff happening right now. We got a lot of good stuff in the pipeline. It's going to take some time, but we're going to get some stuff done around here.
Yeah. I want to shout you out for being on the show. Thank you for joining the Say What You Mean podcast. To my co-host, to my team, this is a very big moment for us to have you on the show. It's an honor to have you.
I had to get you guys hooked up with some swag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I told you I want one of them
you got-
sweaters,
we'll
man.
take
You
some
got
mayor
me
swag.
up.
That way
sure.
you guys
You
can
know?
represent.
Yeah, man. You got to make me the official MC of Canton or something, man. You got to do something cool for me. You got to hook me up, man.
Give him a
That's
key to the city already.
I would love that. Oh.
I'm still looking for that key.
He's still looking for the keys. Well, yeah, shout out to Dakota and Chase, man. They really been holding it down for our YouTube channel, to the city, the viewers who watch us every week. They know how big this is for us. We want to keep going higher as a podcast. We appreciate you guys for watching us, for sticking with us. We have some more great episodes in the future. But yeah, man, this is a great moment. So again, thank you once again for taking the time to join us on this podcast and giving us some swag.
Nah, well, I got to put the order in first, but it's an honor.
Yeah, there we go.
It's an honor.
Thank you very much, man. Episode 172 is Jéan P the MC, Mr. Bill Sherer. Say what you mean. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Say what you mean what you say. I'm from the 330.